Wow, an episode I really, really enjoyed from The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon this time around. W's for them.
They're back now.
And I do mean W's, because it felt like the Wolves were back. Alright guys, this one's going to be doing a review today, this one's going to be doing a review for The Walking Dead universe, and another video for The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon. This one's going to be doing my weekly review for this week's episode, where this was going to be my review for Season 3, Episode 4, titled the Justicia de Fronteriza, whatever the hell that means, another Spanish title. Another episode, another week of The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, and finally, I'm happy to report that I absolutely loved this episode.
Fuck yeah.
This was awesome. This was a really good episode. And I'm not even just talking about the battle. I'm not talking about, which was great. I'm not talking about, the cliffhanger or this and this. The dialogue was good. The dialogue was really good. The writing was good. This one felt like a good Walking Dead episode to me. I don't know about y'all, but this one got me into it, you know what I mean? Not to mention, this episode's like 50-some minutes, so you really had time to get into it, you know what I mean? I feel like the episodes this season have been so short that it's like you don't have time, you know what I mean? This one felt like you had a good longevity to it. I would definitely rewatch this episode. This was a really fun one, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, let's get into it. We'll talk about it from the beginning to end, and then we'll kind of get into it. So, we start off the episode, and we obviously have the kid that is upset now that Justicia, or whatever her name is, left, of course, and went with the King of Spain. She left, obviously, willingly, because she didn't think it was fair that the woman that, obviously had a family had to be taken away. So, she volunteered instead. And she obviously left. And obviously he's sad about that because that's his love and everything like that. And, well, I thought it was cool because right away at the beginning of the episode, you get Daryl. He's, like, standing there and stuff. And while the kid's freaking out, you've got these, like, flashbacks going on. And they give you more flashbacks of Daryl as a kid right away, which I thought was really cool. I'm still waiting for them to do, like, a Will Dixon appearance, like, his father, or a young, Merle, because I did hear rumors this season that there were going to be younger actors playing not only Daryl, but Merle as well, too. So I'm curious on that. I don't think we saw Merle. I think that was still just Daryl running around there in that opening scene. I do hope that there is more of it. Honestly, I hope there's like an entire like opening sequence to an episode, maybe. Maybe for the finale they could do that, you know what I mean? I think that'd be really cool because the flashbacks are very intriguing. I'm curious to see what they're gonna show, you know what I mean? So it was cool to open up the episode there. And then obviously you've got the kid that says to Daryl and Carol, like, hey, listen, it's all your fault. Why we came back and why my girlfriend's gone, basically. So then the intro plays, then we're back and we've got the crew. Basically, they are working, effortlessly to, build this boat and to get it going. And they even said, like, yeah, hopefully in like 2 weeks, y'all could, take off. And hopefully it'll take you about, 2 weeks to get there as well, too, give or take. So they're going to take this kid with them, and obviously they're going to, take potentially the old woman with them, but then, she kind of says, she's like, yeah, like, I belong here and stuff like that, and I'm like, yeah, you definitely do with your two boyfriends there, I saw last episode, but yeah, no, so she kind of helps them out. They're building this boat. I like the team effort. I like, how much everybody was kind of helping out and stuff like that. Felt very big, felt very, cool to see. Kind of reminds you of, like, Lost, you know what I mean? Y'all remember Lost Season 1 where, like, you had Michael trying to put the raft together in Lost? That's kind of what this reminded me of, you know what I mean? Trying to get everybody to band together and help them, you know what I mean? So I thought that was really cool. And, yeah, basically, you've got a few other scenes, you've got a few dialogue scenes, and this is the type of stuff I'm talking about, y'all. This is what I was waiting for from this season. Some actually compelling dialogue scenes that feels like we're moving. I love the scene with Federico and that kid where he's like, listen, I couldn't control Justicia or whatever, like, I couldn't control her decisions, she left, there was nothing I could do, you know what I mean, and they kind of have a moment together where he's like, listen, man, like, I couldn't control it, and then he puts his cane in front of him, and he's like, I'm sorry, I'm stressed out, you know what I mean, I like that scene, I thought that was really good. Felt like a real human interaction, you know what I mean? And I really liked the scene as well, where we got to see, you know, Daryl interacting with this woman. And then you have her, she's like, yeah, so that's your boyfriend over there, right? And Daryl just looks at her, like, in regards to Daryl and Carol being together, right? And she's just like, yeah, that's your boyfriend over there, Carol. And Daryl's just like, he's like, no, not at all. And she's just like, never thought about it? And he's like, nope. So that was great. I love that line from Daryl, you know, because I feel like that was them kind of telling the fans, like, anybody that thinks that Daryl and Carol are ever going to be together, like, think again, you know. I always viewed them as a brother-sister thing. I think that's even what the show is kind of telling you. But, you know, obviously she's like, yeah, do you ever think about it, though? And then Daryl's like, nope. So, yeah, no, I love that. That was awesome. And they're building the boat. Everything's going good. And then, well, you get this guy that's going to come with them. Apparently, he knows a lot about sailing and this and that. And, yeah, his English was very fluent, too. Like, I was kind of like, wait a minute, like, this guy feels like he comes from America or something, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, this guy in the overalls, we'll call him Bob the Builder. Basically, Bob the Builder was helping them build the boat. And then out of nowhere, he gets shot in the throat by a freaking arrow. And I was like, I jumped. I was like, what? What the hell? And then you see these guys run in, and it's those same, you know, horny people from the first episode. That's what we call them, horny people. They come in, you know, and they got their weapons and stuff. And it was awesome. It was badass. You got a big fight on the beach, and you got them taking them out. I like the realism, too. Like, they're, like, struggling to find the guns. That would realistically happen as well. They're like, hey, gun here. Hey, Daryl, catch, you know. Then Daryl gets it. Boom, 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 you know. And then it was really cool. It felt real. Like, it felt like nobody was prepared for it. It felt very, very authentic and very, you know, just strategy focused. You know, Daryl had to use different things to take them out. Daryl actually almost got shot. There was one that was coming up to him. He's about to shoot him, and Daryl's sitting there like, oh, damn, you know? And then the freaking kid shoots one, you know? So I really liked that fight. That was really good. That was a really cool scene, and you know what it kind of reminded me of? It kind of reminded me of the first time we saw the wolves attack, well, the only time, in the original show. You guys remember when Carol dressed up as a wolf and put, like, the W on her head, you know, to blend in? It wasn't to that extent, but it felt like it. Like, when they were, you know, it was like a calm opening 10 minutes or so to the episode. Everything was kind of chill. And then out of nowhere, they throw you through a loop, you know what I mean? Very intense, very crazy for sure, and really enjoyed that. And then you get the bells that are ringing, the community is on alert, you know what I mean? And this kind of reminded me of Game of Thrones, those who know, you know. And I thought that was awesome. Like, kind of reminds you of King's Landing from Game of Thrones, you know, when something goes down, like, ba-bing, ba-bing, you know, like, I thought that was kind of crazy. And then, well, basically you get the guy, he comes in there, Frederico, he's like, hey, listen, whoever can fight, fight, you know what I mean? And I like the way they showed it, because not everybody's just going to be a fighter all of a sudden. You know what I mean? That's another thing. I like that they showed that. Not everybody's going to be a fighter all of a sudden. That wouldn't make any sense. So he's looking at his group and he's like, hey, whoever can fight, you can fight, take a gun. You know, okay, get down there. You can fight, take a gun. Like, it was really cool the way they did that scene. I felt the urgency, you know what I mean? And then, you know, the scene progressed and you had, of course, all these vehicles coming up. And, you know, you have Paz, of course. She's a pretty badass character, I'm not gonna lie. I was kind of waiting to see more of her, but like, I'm liking her so far. She's really good. She's, again, probably the standout for me so far out of this group. Either her or Frederico. They're pretty good characters so far. And, you know, I really like the scene where she was trying to, you know, shoot at them, didn't work, and then they bust through the gates anyway, you know what I'm saying? Daryl and Carol are on their way back to go in and help, which I liked, and Daryl's like, don't do any stupid shit in there, and she's like, I won't, you know, and he's like, we're leaving, I get it, you know, and Daryl's like, alright, let's go, you know, and they go in, big fight that goes down. Daryl and Carol, I mean, this was great. This was the first episode this season, like, I really liked Carol. Like, Carol felt like Carol to me, like, helping everybody out, helping out Frederico, helping out all those characters. She was shooting people left, right, and center. That was Carol to me. I mean, that was Carol. Carol is a killing machine, y'all. She is. And she finally felt like herself. No cringe dialogue, no stupid things like that. It just felt real, man. She went in there, she helped as many people as she could, and it felt very, very authentic. And then, well, of course, Daryl. I mean, Daryl's a freaking badass, you know? I can't count how many times, and I'm not even going to be able to cover it all, because genuinely, I have no idea half the stuff that happened with him, but in terms of, like, the weapons the guy would pick up, the strategies the guy would use, I mean, he used everything he had around him. That's what I like about Daryl. If Daryl doesn't have a weapon, he will find something around him to use to take you out. You know what I'm saying? That's the kind of crap I love from Daryl. And Daryl just is like, listen, okay, damn, my gun's empty. Oh, shoot, what's this thing lying on the ground? All right. You know? So I like that. That was awesome. Felt very, very crazy, very immersive, and I loved it. Now, as for these people, I found it very interesting. Now, I didn't catch the group's name, but they're the horny people. We're going to keep calling them that until I can, you know, remember their name. But I thought it was so crazy because, you know, when you're this many years in the apocalypse and you see a group like this, a group of people that are dressing like this, a group of people that they didn't even speak, they didn't even say a damn thing. They did not say shit. It was just, oh my God, like, we're going to go in, we're going to kill everybody. And apparently, and this is one thing I found very interesting, apparently these people were attacking on account of what happened with the King of Spain. So I'm not 100% sure what that has to do with everything, but there were connections. I did catch that. But I'm not 100% sure. I guess it makes them want to take the community down and take it all down, you know what I mean? So it's crazy. I don't know if this is somebody the king hired or something, but yeah, I mean, you know, something of the sort, you know what I mean? So these people came in here, did all this, and there were a few, like, people that were injured. There was a good few fight scenes. The brutality was good. I really like the part where you have Frederico that's, like, fighting for his people, and you got the one guy that's down, and then, unfortunately, the guy gets stabbed. Frederico can't get to him in time, and then Frederico ends up getting stabbed right here, you know what I mean? And I thought for a minute, I was like, oh, are they going to kill him off? Like, I was like, damn, you know, and then he goes down. I thought for a minute they were going to kill Frederico off. I ain't going to lie to y'all. I was like, oh, shoot. You know, and then obviously you got Carol that helps him, which W. Carol, love to see it. She helped the leader of the town. And again, it felt very real. They were, you know, helping each other. Like, had them like this, you know what I mean? And then you had the one guy that was coming up to them, and Carol had no ammo, and Frederico couldn't fight, and they were sitting there. I was like, damn, like, you know, shoot, what's going to happen, you know? And then Frederico's mother, the old lady, she shoots them, helps Frederico, and then she's like, yo, son, what happened to you? And he's like, I'm fine. And Frederico pulls through. He's fine. But I gotta say, I thought something was gonna happen to him there. I was kind of worried, because I kind of like him. I don't want them to kill him off. Like, I kind of feel like he could do some more, you know what I mean? It's the modern Walking Dead spinoffs. They're gonna kill him off pretty quickly, but not yet, at least. You know, I want to see a bit more of him. Because I'm starting to like him, you know what I mean? I'm starting to like his character. But anyway, that was great. That was all really good stuff. Daryl, badass as usual. And then you get the one part with, like, the frickin', like, the turret where you got Frederico. He gets up there and he's, like, you know, firing this thing down at all these guys coming in. I mean, I thought that was frickin' awesome, too. And then you got Carol on the top of the roof. She's like, Daryl, you know, and then she chucks the gun down, and then Daryl takes the frickin' gun and then starts blasting them. I mean, that was awesome, too. You got the fires going everywhere, you know what I mean? And they take them out. And then you get that kid, you know, the kid from the Romeo and Juliet couple. The guy's name is escaping me, but he looks at Frederico, right, and he's pissed off now, and he's like, yeah, is this really what we do? Like, is this really worth it to work with the King of Spain for this? You know what I mean? He kind of just looks around, and he exposes Frederico to the whole town. He's like, do you really think this is worth it? You know what I mean? And I thought the kid had balls, and I was kind of agreeing with him. I'm not going to lie, because I was like, yeah, the deal with the King of Spain did not save you. But then Frederico makes the argument. He's like, yeah, well, if it wasn't for the King of Spain, we wouldn't have all these guns to use against him. And I'm like, yes and no. You know what I mean? I get what he's saying, but I would also say, like, yeah, no, I'm with the kid more so than I am with him. I think overall, the kid was more on the right. The deal with the King of Spain is not sustainable. It's not sustainable for the longevity of your community, and more people keep dying as a result of this deal. Like, you know, it kind of reminds you of, like, Ezekiel in the original show, you know what I mean? When Rick approached him and he was like, you know, hey, can you fight with us? And he's like, no, I got a good thing going here, you know what I mean? And then they kill a bunch of the Kingdom characters, and then, you know, you had Morgan that was like, really? You think this is, you know? So I like that, you know what I mean? It shows you the realism of, you know, what he's doing and what it costs them, and, you know, everything that's going on with his leadership, and how Frederico's way of leading may not be the right way of doing it. You know what I mean? That definitely makes sense. And I thought that was a really cool moral, question there that I thought was really good as well. So I like the drama that was being built as well. Now, Daryl captures one of the guys that attacks, and the guy is nuts. I mean, they interrogate him. Federico hits him with his cane a few times, you know what I mean? And he's just like, hey, like, what are you doing here? You know what I mean? What's your goal here in this whole thing? And then he kind of says, like, he's like, yeah, to burn it all down, you know what I mean? And he's like, yeah, the guy's nuts, basically. The guy they captured, he's nuts. He's lost his mind. And I think all these people were, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know much about this group so far, but they feel like the wolves. Like, they genuinely do. They don't speak to you. They don't do anything. They just straight up kill you and take what you have. And that's the reality of what we're dealing with in this world. So I get that, man. Some people just lost their minds and they've lost sight of reality so bad that they don't even think about it, you know what I mean? And I think in this case, that's kind of what's going on. It's very, very interesting for sure. So, yeah, no, I thought that was nuts. I thought that was insane. I loved it, though. I thought it was really, really intense. The new group is crazy. And then you got the kid who, he can't live with where his girlfriend went to at the end of last episode. He gets in the vehicle and he decides to leave. And basically, you get a bit of a dilemma there, like, hey, listen, the kid's on his own. Even Daryl thinks, like, maybe we should just leave him behind. And then Carol and Antonio, obviously being his father, he wants to go after him and find him, so they're going to do that. And they're going to go to Barcelona, which apparently is the direction he went into, which I'm like, damn, kid, holy frig, you're persistent. But then you find out that his vehicle was crashed, and you've got Daryl, Carol, and Antonio that go after him, and they find this wreckage at the end. And beautiful shot of them, by the way, driving at night. I thought that was great. Really nice. And then they see the vehicle parked there, and I was like, oh, shoot, is the kid going to be dead? No, he's not dead. It sounded like he got captured, and it sounded like he is with his girlfriend now, and they're both held in captivity now. So, I mean, love will do that to you, man. It makes you reckless, you know what I'm saying? So I get that. But yeah, no, that was insane, and that was the episode. There it was. So I don't know what happened. Like, the last episode was, like, terrible for me. And then I'm watching this one, I was like, this is amazing. This is a great episode, you know what I mean? Great storytelling, great stuff, great character stuff, great dilemma with Federico and how he should lead his town, and the moral question of should they keep going with their deal with the king, and is it worth it, and the fight with all these new people that came in. Very good action as well. The dialogue felt real. I felt the emotion behind the characters. I felt it all, man. It really, really felt authentic to me. And it felt real, you know what I mean? So for all those people that say that I'm a Walking Dead hater, for all those people that think that I'm just here to hate on The Walking Dead, well, you just had to be patient with me, people. When there's an episode that's damn good, and when there's an episode that I like, and y'all OGs, y'all know me, it takes a lot for me to, give an episode high credit. And when it gives me great stuff, which I liked the slow moments in this one, and I liked the action. It was great. And when that happens, and I got nothing to complain about, I'm going to give this episode a perfect 10 out of 10. I had no issues with it. It was great. It was everything it needed to be. Intense moments, great character dialogue, great dilemma, great scenes overall. It felt very real. Carol even felt like her OG self in this one. Daryl's a badass as usual. What do you want from me? But, it was great. This, bar none, is the best episode of this season. It's not even kind of close. This is the best episode this season. And I would actually say, and this might be a bit of a controversial opinion, I like it better than any episode of Season 2. It's the best Daryl episode I've seen since Season 1. I'm not going to cap. This was really good. And it felt real and very, very just... I was glued. I was into it. It was really great. So, let me know your thoughts, y'all. Post your comments down below. What did you guys think of the new episode of Daryl Dixon? And, let me know. I was seriously impressed with this one. I hope they keep this pace up, because this was really good. So, very much enjoyed it. We'll be back next week for episode 5. If you're new to the channel and you enjoy videos like this, make sure to click the subscribe button so you don't miss any of the videos. Make sure to follow me on Dan's Reviews Official on Instagram, guys. And, of course, I'll see you guys really soon for more videos for the Walking Dead universe. Enjoy the rest of your day, guys, and peace out.
Born in the dark alleys, city of concrete. Dan's reviews blowing up, never taste defeat. Walking Dead dissected every plot twist beat. World gone mad, TV junkies hit a treat. Tied Building up scripts, marathon through the night. His opinions hit harder than a street fight scene. Every episode, brain sharper than a knife. He's the beacon of critique, shedding TV light.